Let's go to line number 4. Hello, Brad Cabana, you're on the air.
Hey, Patty, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Not bad. Just calling today, just sort of, to touch base with you on the lawsuit, I suppose. Without getting into too much detail, I just wanted, you and your audience to know that yesterday at the Supreme Court of Newfoundland and Labrador, I filed statements of claim against Mr. Williams, Alderon, and Altius Minerals as well.
And what's the crux of your suit?
Well, the crux of my suit is that the writing that I did was based on a lot of research, detailed facts that are actually available to anybody publicly if they get into it enough, and that in fact Mr. Williams and company should know that those facts are true, and that for them to come out and say that they're not true and that they're falsehoods or complete fabrications or other such words that have been used defames me and actually unfairly cast out on the research that we've done.
Well, I mean, this will all boil down to what a judge thinks about the merits of either side and their case. When Williams and Alderon sued you, you refer to it as a SLAP suit, and that, of course, stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. Are you not necessarily playing the same card when you countersue? Because whether or not there's defamation, of course, is not up to you or I. It'll be up to a judge. But is this not just a way to put a lid on who you think was slapping you with a suit by slapping one back?
No, absolutely not. All I'm doing with filing a suit back is, first of all, I'm defending myself. I'm defending my right to speak and speak factually. And if a judge finds that I haven't spoken factually and I've done so with ill will, then I'll face the repercussions from that. Conversely, I think that the same applies to Mr. Williams. You can't go attack people on the public air simply because somebody's talking about a project you're involved in or a matter of public concern like Muscat Falls and expect to shut them up by suing them. Yeah. I think it's a dangerous precedent. It's been talked about all over North America, and now I guess it's come to Newfoundland. Yeah,
I'm not going to get into the merits of either one, specifics of your cases, because for one, they're going to be in front of a judge, and secondly, it just opens up the kettle of fish to a conversation, which I think we all lose if we go at it again on the air. At this point in time, anyway, Brad.
Exactly. I agree with you, Patty. One
thing on this front, though, and this is just an adaptation of an old cliche referring to one who represents themselves in court, whether it be criminally or civil. Brad, why choose to go down that road? Because if you have merit that you believe you do, why not hire a professional, an attorney, to represent your views?
Right, and I know that you're getting at only a fool represents himself, and I got that. On the converse side of that, I don't want to put my family through any more expense, quite frankly. I put a lot of time and effort. I've been fighting Muscat Falls for a year and a half. We were one of the first ones. We were the first ones to expose the mining connection with Muscat Falls back in latter part of January. And since it's come to light finally, thank God. But, I'm not going to put my family through any more expense than absolutely necessary. And that is the only reason, to be honest. That's the only reason.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, who needs additional bills showing up in their mailbox? But then obviously another question that many will ask or pose is that a lot of this stems from sour taste in your mouth hanging over from your hopes to replace Williams as the PC leader, and they, of course, disallowed your participation, and then you put your hat in the ring for the Liberals, and that didn't go the way it hoped. So some people will say this is simply sour grapes and an axe to grind. How do you reply to that?
Well, first off, I'd just like to correct something. I was actually asked by several Liberals to run for leadership. At the time when the leader suddenly resigned, there were no high-profile or people interested in running for the leadership. So that's the reason I put my name in.
That's correcting something I said? I mean, I didn't insinuate anything other than the fact that you went for it and it didn't work out.
I just want to make that clear. Whether it's insinuating, I just want to make that point clear. But secondly, no, it's got nothing to do with sour grapes at all. It's got solely to do with the Muscat Falls project, to be honest. Now, some people have taken research that was done on the Muscat Falls project and turned that into, sort of an attack on me for having, I suppose, the nerve to write it. But, since February, since I wrote those articles, the mining part of this equation has come to light. And a lot of people are understanding that, this power is predominantly for the mines in Labrador. Even Mr. Williams, when he was on your program 2 weeks ago, admitted that. He said a lot of this power, Patty, is for the mines in mines in Labrador. So, that was the crux of my critique on the situation. I didn't think it was fair for the people in Newfoundland and Labrador to be subsidizing all these mines. I'm really subsidizing them, like, massively. And I don't think that's fair. I think people have been hurt enough in the past with the Upper Churchill deal. And don't we wish that people would have stood up and fought viciously hard during the Upper Churchill debacle, I mean, I certainly, I was a young boy then, but I mean, if I were in that situation today, I would certainly hope that somebody would stand up before it was too late.
I mean, no one can, I certainly don't deny anyone's voice on anything here on the program. Like, whatever anyone calls to say, they can fill their boots. We all have to be not only respectful, but we all have to take our own responsibility and accountability for things we say, whether they be deemed to be libelous, slanderous, or whatever the case may be. I don't begrudge anything you say or when you call the program. I don't know how this is going to play out. I have no earthly idea. But I am hoping that there is further legitimate conversation on Muskrat Falls, because as much as people insinuate that I'm trying to sell it, but they're full of crap. They just hear what they want to hear. I'm just trying to get down to, once again, just like Tordown 101, facts. Facts are all I'm really interested in dealing with. People's opinion and their motivations are not really my concern. So, Brad, I don't know how this is going to play out for you.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100% on that, by the way, Patty, and I believe that is what you're trying to do, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's easy to see for those who care to open both eyes, but that's kind of neither here nor there. Thanks for the call today. I don't know how it's going to play out, Brad. Is this something that can be negotiated before it gets in front of a judge officially, or what's going to happen?
I guess that's up to Mr. Williams and company, because I'm certainly prepared to go to court. I'm certainly actually looking forward to being able to subpoena and get disclosure for certain information and documents that have been withheld from the public, and there is a recourse to do that through a lawsuit, so I'm really looking forward to that part, and I'm prepared to go all the way. But
now that you mention that, Brad, and I'm glad you did, and boy, if I had to be thinking a little further, I would have said it. That's one of the things that immediately you said when Williams and Alderon sued you, is that you would be now privy to a lot of documents you couldn't get your hands on. What kind of role does that play? Because at some point, there's obviously something more than tit for tat going on between you and Williams and others. There's and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's some form of dislike going on, and I would suggest that's probably mutual. So what role does that play? Because if that really would take away from the merits of your case, if it's simply a way to use a lawsuit and the court of law for anything other than what is defending your own character or things you say or wrote.
Oh, absolutely not. I really don't have any dislike for Mr. Williams. Matter of fact, I used to uphold him as, a great defender of Newfoundland. Unfortunately, I have found through my research that, that may have been a misplaced loyalty. But I don't have any ill will whatsoever towards Mr. Williams. I don't even really know the man. I've met him once. That's it. So I don't have any ill will towards him at all. He may have ill will towards me, because I've been giving them a very rough time on Muskrat Falls. But I have no ill will towards any of them, to be honest. To me, it's all about the issue, like you said earlier, about the facts and what the facts say, because God knows there's been enough spin. And so I'm only... And during a court case, you are given the right to defend yourself, and during that process, you can ask for information, documents, etc., that will either back up your facts or dismiss your facts, one or the other, but you have access to that. And a lot of people in the public in Newfoundland haven't had access to almost any of those facts. That's what I'm referring to.
When I ask Ed Martin about the royalty trust agreement that is part of the contention of Williams and Alderon, they say no, the government says no, Martin says no, that it won't be part of the financing plan. Is this simply you don't believe them?
I have never heard the government say that once. I've asked Jerome Kennedy numerous times, and he refused to even respond.
Martin has flat out said no on this show.
Pardon me?
Ed Martin has flat out said no. That is not part of the plan for capital financing for Muskrat Falls.
Ed Martin also said he didn't know anything about, or had never really heard of.
I think you misplayed that one though, because he's saying he hadn't heard of it as a part of any opportunity to finance anything regarding Nalcor. It was a 2005. That's where that originates. I think it's 2005. And Martin said it had never passed over his desk, and he said it is not part of the plan to finance. He would know better than Kennedy and or Marshall at this point. So when he says that, do you simply not believe him?
I question, I have to say that I question most things surrounding Muskrat Falls, and I also, I would like to see for myself before, seeing is believing. We've been told a number of different things about Muskrat Falls, and so much of it has been spin, and so much of it has been, pulling wool over people's eyes, in a sense, misleading them as to the reasons for Muskrat Falls. I'm saying that generally, not specifically in any individual. And, in a court of law, because Mr. Williams brought the suit to my door, then I get the chance to defend myself. And in that case, I will get, I should be able to get access to the documentation or whatnot that will, either back that up or dismiss it. But I will say that Altius, as a public company, has never issued a public press release, which it is required to do under Toronto Stock Exchange law, that it is now out of the financing of the Muskrat Falls project. Never once.
Well,
it did issue a press release when it was in the running in 2005.
Yeah, my understanding on that type of world, which I deal with a little bit, is they don't owe anybody anything until it's a formal proposal offered to the markets. Because up until then, it's just conjecture and conversation.
They issued a press release in 2005. They said that they were on to the next level of phase 2, for instance. Like, you think about it, a lot of people would look at that and say, well, boy, I want to buy shares in that because, that's going to be funding Muskrat Falls. And if they don't tell people, then, there's a reason why there's disclosure, right?
That's fair enough, and we'll just see what happens when and if that comes to play. Let's move on to General Muskrat Falls chat for just 1 minute, Brad. Yeah. When the messaging is a problem, it's Shag, Quebec, it's connectivity to the mainland, it's a requirement of power in the island, it's for Labrador, West Mine expansions, blah, blah, blah. Other than what ratepayers will pay, whether they be commercial, industrial, or residential, what difference does it make who uses the power?
Well, that, in a sense, that's true. But my core thing has been all along is look, if the majority of this power is going to be used for mines, and that's not uncommon, right? That can happen in other parts of the country. It depends on which province you're in.
Happens all over the world. People build nuclear reactors to power industry. So
exactly. And this is what I'm doing is not sort of an anti-industry thing. What I'm saying is that be upfront with the people in Newfoundland so they know why they're going to be adding, 85% to their gross debt and their power rates are going up. Be upfront with them and tell them, look,